So on the last working day, okay, yesterday there was no class. As I mentioned, I was out of my town due to some urgencies. Okay, so whatever we have left in the last day session, so we are covering the different kinds of transformation on top of pandas data frame. Okay, so actually we already discussed why the transformation is required. So just to, remind once more time, if we use Python as a ETL tool, yeah, it's a quite frequent for most of the companies they're using it. Not only this easy manner, they're using Python frameworks and all. In the framework, that can be a simple part. The transformation of concatenation, maybe merging is a another part. So what we are doing over here? So Python is bringing up the data from source system. It's transforming it as per the required data format. Then it's going to load it at the target site. So at the transformation, we have learned lots of stuff, especially aggregation, ordering, filtering part, slicing part. Today, I'll be showing you the concatenation. Concatenation is a simple kind of stuff what we have learned in union. Okay. So union between two different tables, it's same as concatenation. And that is also called, data collection between two tables. It is vertically data merging. And the joining concept, what we have joined, we have done join between two tables. There we are joining the data horizontally. So that is called merging over here. We'll be using merge keyword for joining purpose. Joining between two data frame can be done by merge. Okay. So let's go ahead with concat statement first. One more thing, actually, if you could remember, while learning the SQL over there, while doing the union operation, I told that, to do the union operation between two tables, the table column number should be same. Otherwise, the union or union all operation should be throwing an error. Okay. But here, no such hard and fast rule is there for data frames union or data frame concatenation. Let me show you with an example. Suppose, let me open an Excel. Okay. Suppose I have a data column 1, column 2, column 3. So this is the data set. 1, 2, 3. It's arbitrary data set. I have this data set. I have this data set too. Column 1. Just took those two fundamental columns. So while doing the SQL unions, generally the column numbers are same. There are three columns for each of the tables. Then we can just simply do the union by this operation. So the final resultant table should be consisting of this thing. In SQL also we checked the column data type should be also matched. So when we'll be going ahead with the union all operation, but the data type of column 1 and this column 1 is not same, then it should be throwing an error. Even generally when we are doing union all, especially the particular data or the type or subject of the particular headers are same. That's why, suppose this is an ID column and this is also an ID column. Then only there should be a purpose of doing this kind of union in SQL. But over here in Python, in pandas, There is no such thing. We can have multiple columns as well. I mean, call 4, suppose, call 5. Suppose we do not have call 1 over here. We have call 10 with some different data. Suppose here it should be AB underscore 1, BC underscore T. It's a character. I'm just trying to convey. It's similar kind. 7 is also character. So for this scenario, it's not checking for the column headers and all. Rather, it's doing the same union all operations in this way. So here, let me put some data over here. Okay. And the data should be, if we do concat operation in data frames, the data should be merged in this manner. And you can see the resultant data frame should be having 5 columns, having null over here, because the first data frame doesn't have any records or doesn't have any data for last 2 columns. That's why it will mark this thing as null. So this is the concept actually of this is the difference between a SQL union versus a Python concatenation operation. Okay, Tanuji, you were telling something? Sorry.
Oh, no. No, nothing.
Okay. So let's go ahead with this example. I'll be also doing after completion of this. Okay, I have two demonstration of Excel. Let me open the Excels. We are doing data load visualization. Nothing is there. Transformation. Yes. So I have taken two different CSV file. One is student and teacher. Student table is having student dataset is having primary key, student ID, class name, and teacher ID. Okay. So a student ID, which class he or she is reading in, the name of the student, and which teacher ID. The teacher ID may be a class teacher. Okay. So which teacher ID the particular student is getting tagged. This is the first data set of student. In teacher, we have only two columns, teacher ID, and there is a relationship between one teacher versus one subject. It is one-to-one mapping. One teacher ID can learn. Can teach one particular subject. So it's one English, two maths. So this is the thing. We have two data set. Let's import the two data set over here. We'll keep the exam result as well, no issue. I'm just taking DFT as teacher and DFS for student. Let me just call or import both of them with. As we mentioned, here should be 2/or 2 backslash. Okay. Similarly, I want to import teacher, student as well. It's in same location, only the CSV name is different. Student.csv. Just I'm putting this characters. I'm running the particular. Okay. So it's able to successfully load the CSV files into data frames. Okay. Now let's go ahead with first operation, that is concat data frame. How to concat between these two data frames? Let's took third data frame. Suppose DFC, that is data frame for concatenation. PD dot concat. Just call this two data frame DFS comma DFT. Print DFC. What is happening? Hmm. Okay, I need to pass this thing in a list. Here is the necessity of list. How list is important. Okay, so what we are seeing over there, it's taking the first one over here and second one over here. So teacher ID is a common column. That's why it's mapped properly over here. Based on the column name, it will be mapping in this way. So one more thing I just want to show. By this example, I just mentioned this thing as a wrong. So it's mapping as the column name. So column 10, they'll be mapping over here, not with column 1. Okay. So they'll be checking for the same column 2 and column 3. That thing will be properly matched. The column header is not matching means they will be putting it to another column in this way. And doesn't matter whatever the earlier data frame has data or column header for the same, they will be placing none. NaN. Just like the same example I want to show you. So student ID, class name, teacher ID. This is coming from the first data frame. And from the second data frame, we are having only teacher ID and subject. Okay. So for this student ID, they're properly merging in this manner. But we do not have data for this columns as well as for the subject doesn't have data from the first data frame. That's why it's placing null. So particularly the operation is, there is no harm with the operation concat, but it is not a fruitful one. So it should be also, a fruitful when we will be using the same number columns over here too. Just I want to say the limitation in SQL, it's a limited one. You cannot able to do it will be throwing an error. Python, it will not throw an error, but the example or outcomes is not a suitable one, but they will not throw any error. Okay. Now I'll be going ahead with, I think it's understandable. Especially I want to mean that it's just like horizontal, it's just like a vertical join, not join exactly, the union operation. If we have same number of headers, then only it can be a suitable example to show you. But in this example, it's not a suitable one. People will not be concat in this manner because it will not be required in the project purpose. In project, they are using some data set to use this thing to get the proper outcomes or proper result. Okay. Okay. So moving ahead with the join, that is merge. Merge means horizontal merge. So based on the requirement, suppose I want to check in a single data set which student is learning which subject. Then we need not only the teacher ID, we need the subject as well in the single data frame. So how to do that? That's why we need the merge. That is the word. Horizontal joining or horizontal concatenation, whatever we can say. So how to do that? I'm using the same data frame. Okay. Just I'll be joining between two data set based on teacher ID. Teacher ID is a common column, and after joining the teacher ID, I'll be pulling subject from this data frame to the resultant data frame. How to do that? So let's find the resultant database as DF S, that is final, or DFS is already there. DF final, DFF. Okay, no issue for DFF. So PD dot merge. So here, how we are declaring the data frames, that will also matter over here. As I mentioned earlier, while doing the join, we have inner join, left join, outer join. So whichever data frame I'll be mentioning first, that should be treated as the left table. Suppose DFS. Okay. I'm putting this thing at the left table. DFT, it should be the right table, comma. What kind of join I'll be doing? Two parameters I need to pass over here, which is the joining columns, that is left on. From the left table, the joining column is teacher ID. From the right table, which is the joining column, it's also teacher ID. Okay, that should be within a quote. Now the things left, which kind of join will be there? If we do not pass anything, by default it should be inner join. If we want to pass any other thing, let's say left outer join, right outer join, so pass with this. How? Within bracket we can pass inner or left, anything, whatever you want to join. So this is the syntax. Okay, let's run this. This is the final data set. Let me print it. Okay, this is the final data set. We have student ID, class name, teacher ID. Along with teacher ID, we have the subject as well. We can now able to understand Piyush Channel is teaching English in a particular coaching center. Okay, so that's why the join also works in SQL. The same thing. It's in the functionality is same. Whatever we are doing, that the left join as well. I'm not going details what to do with the left joins, what to do with the right joins, what is inner join, because we have already covered the same thing in SQL with an Excel exercise and all. So how to do the joins, this is the syntax to do the same. Okay. And okay, one more thing. If we have common column, suppose teacher ID is a common column with the same naming convention, then we can omit left on and right on. Instead of doing that, we can simply put on. Okay, we can remove right on over there. Can simply use on. Okay. This is understandable. Prasanna Thanuja for concatenation and join.
No.
Yeah, yes or no? Sorry, didn't get actually. Is it fine, Thanuja, or should I repeat?
Oh,
Actually,
no, that's fine.
okay, it's fine. Actually, I Told, is it fine? You told no. That's why I told that. I thought that it should be. It is not understandable. Okay,
No,
fine.
no, I just, okay, that's fine.
Okay, transformation. So as of now, this is the high level transformation, whatever we can do, but we can do lots of minute things on top of pandas data frame. So that link is very much helpful. So if you are just planning for interviews on top of Pythons and all, Python as a data engineering tool, please go through this link once more time. It is having minute details to do the same. But for the interviewer as well, they will not be too much minute. But while doing your works and all, you can know the basic things. You can know some more things. You can search for interview questions for Pythons and all, Python data frame transformations. But doing your practicals when you are live in a project and all. So that time, while doing those minute stuffs, you have to go through this document. You can search over there in web how to do that thing and all. But how to cover everything, what should be the syntax, how to approach, you know the thing, how to search now, I think you are also aware of this stuff. Okay. Okay. So this is about the transformation. I'm going to the next slide. Next slide is specially based on load. So this is the last stage of ETL, data load at the target site. Okay. So yeah, most probably this should be the end days of, I mean, today is the last day for Python. So we'll be loading the data at the target site. So for loading the same thing, we have to, where we have to load, especially we have to load in data warehouse to create the data warehouse tables or data marts and all. So for the same thing, we need to do the same step, whatever we have done while fetching the data from MySQL. So first step should be a database connectivity. As I have only single database, that is MySQL in my machine. So I'll be connecting again to MySQL, but instead of fetching the data from MySQL, I'll be pushing data into MySQL. So how to do that? Just logging into the database. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this one is also completed. I'll be showing you this thing after this course. Okay, let's take this thing. So if you can remember, removing this thing, we used SQL Alchemy the day before yesterday's class to load the data from source system. Source system is a database. So by SQL Alchemy, we are creating an engine. Then inside that engine, we are passing the connection parameter for that particular database. Okay. Now we're creating the data frames on top of this connection engine. When it's on, then we are passing the exact select query to pull the data from the source system and create the data frames in Python, in pandas. Okay. So now suppose I am able to, let's copy this thing. Suppose I have done some transformation over here, this one, DFF, just before 1 second. I want to push the same thing. This is a final data set. Suppose I want to push the same thing in a new table in that particular database. So I'm writing the data, I'm loading the data from data frame to data warehouse. Data warehouse is a MySQL database as of now. So let's push it. How to push it? Pandas, it's not required importing. I'm just importing this creating in over here. Let me do it beginning, then it should be a good convention actually. I'm omitting these stuffs. Okay, so DFT, DFS is present. I'm joining DFT and DFS. and creating the resultant data, I mean data frame, that is DFF. Now I want to create a new table. Suppose I want to create a new table. What is the data frame available over here into MySQL in the same database over here? Uh, let's create a new table. How to create it? So DFF dot to SQL. So what are the parameters? Let me quickly check it. Self name. Okay. Name, then connection, then schema if exists. Fine. So name. What should be our table name? Uh, okay. I can put data frame underscore test. Okay. Connection. Connection should be the same connection. Okay. I have to print it over here. Sorry. This is our connection. So I need to create this thing after that. Connection is this engine. Data training. This is our database. Okay. If I do not pass if exist parameter, by default it will be creating the table. Okay, let me just check whether any kind of table naming convention is there. Data frame underscore test, it's not there in the inside the database. Let's run it. Okay, process finished. That means it's completed. Let's check in the database. Yes, data frame underscore test. It's recently generated. Let's print it. Okay, so when I'll be just pushing the data, I found that I need to re-log into the database. Otherwise, there is a fetching issue. Okay, so this is the final data frame what we have created over here. Now we are able to load this thing into SQL. That means MySQL database. With the extra column that is index, index is present over here and index is also pushed into database. So this is how we can load the database. Now there is another parameter called if exists. If I run the job once more time, what will happen? It is throwing an error. The same table ran successfully. The same code ran successfully. But now when I'm just running it the second time, for the second time it's showing an error because if we do not pass if exist that particular parameter, then it will try to recreate the tables once more time. So if the table is created, it's not able to recreate the table. Either way, we can just drop the table from here. Drop table data frame test. Okay. Now if I'm running this thing, it should be again running successfully. Yeah. Because I have dropped the table. So it's recreating the table and ingesting the data from this data frame to this table. But if we run the same thing again for the second time, it will be throwing the error because it will fail at the create table that time. So that is why to handle this thing, we have another parameter if exists. Now you can remember while learning the ETL, we learned there is several loading methodology. So let me check how if exists work. Let me show you in Google as Okay, if exists, if exists fail, what are the different things can be done? If exist can be fail, if exist can be replaced, if exist can append. So by default, if we do not pass anything, it should be automatically failing. Okay, default value is fail. That means if the table is already existing, then it should be failing. Now I can do this replace keyword. Replace means, if you can remember, while learning the business intelligence chapters, we learned that several data loading strategy. There is one option of truncate load. Means if the table is already exists, it will truncate all the data and it will be loading it again. So this is one, I mean, similar kind of approach if I mean it is. So it will replace the data, or rather we can say it will be replace the entire table with the new table. So it can drop the table and recreate the table with the data frames. If I run these things again and again, it will not fail. If the table exists, then it will replace this thing again. So it is similar kind of approach of truncate data load, what we have learned in business intelligence. Now there is another method to do that, append. As we mentioned over here, as we found over here, append. Append means daily basis the data should be appended. Okay, if the table is already exist, it will append the data. Let me check how the data looks like. Okay, I need to reconnect the instance. This is a general fault in MySQL. I checked it. The same instance, it will not be showing in the same UI. I'm relogging into Workbench, selecting this thing again. Why? Is there correct? Yes. Select star from my image from. Okay, we have the same table, same data. Now, if I just go ahead with append method, in the next step, when the same table is loading, then you can see the data got appended. Append means concatenated. Whatever we have learned in the last transformation. Yeah, I'm just re-executing the query. Nothing is appended actually. What happens? It's fine. Let me rerun it once more time. No, what is happening? It should be actually appended. Append the old record from here to here. Let me check. Hmm. Okay, it was not showing in the same instance. So I have execute the same button thrice. So you can see data is really got appended. Okay, so you can see the repetition index till this thing again is starting from 0th index to this. Again, it's starting from 0th index to this. So it's getting appended, but the instance that I was working in MySQL, it's not in sync with the database. So that's why it was not able to show this thing, but the data got appended. Okay, one after one. So this kind of loading strategy is available. Suppose in the source side, they are not keeping the historical data. So each day, daily basis, the new data is coming and it's refreshing the data. But at the target side, we want to maintain the history. So whatever employees or whatever student was there in the previous day, I want to keep those things, as well as the new students will be also captured over here. So this is the concept for doing append load. I think we have already learned it in business intelligence. So the similar kind of stuffs we can see over here. Over there, we have also learned upsert method, update and insert. So here it's not applicable for this two sequels. Upsert, it's only insert. So if new records come at the source system, we can directly insert it by this parameter. Okay, so that is understandable to both of you. Anuja, Prashanya, this is for loading strategy only.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So we just loaded the data frames into target database. There is also option of loading it into target. Maybe I want to load it into a CSV file. Just as we are learning for loading strategy, so we can load it in Excel, we can load it into CSV. Just you need to put there. We are using read underscore CSV. We use read underscore SQL query. While putting the thing, we need to put two underscore SQL. We just learned it. Two underscore CSV. Then put the entire path where you need to save it. In your project, when it's live, it must be a cloud location. Put the S3 bucket location. Then it will be pasted over there. In my local, I can directly put my home drive or any other location. It will be creating that CSV with the same naming convention. Okay, so I'm not going ahead with two CSV concept, but it's same. Put the particular location. It will be creating the CSV file as well. Okay. So this is how we are loading it. Okay, what are the things to be covered? Okay, to SQL it's covered. Okay, matplotlib. Yeah, that thing I'll be covering. This is yeah, Python. We can also use Python as a visualization tool as well. Although I mean in enterprises solutions they are not using Python directly as a visualization tool. As I mentioned in BI chapters, there is several BI visualization tools are available in market. That is Tableau, ClickSense, ClickView, Cognos. Okay, Power BI, it's a new tool from Microsoft. It's not a new actually, but people are, just migrating their existing tool to Power BI tool frequently, and it's very popular as well. It's gaining popularity day by day. Okay, so we can do similar kind of operation in Python as well. So in Python, we can use this matplotlib module. Before going to matplotlib, I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you. Let me take one exercise. I want to convert the data in pivot. Actually, I showed how the pivot is. What is pivot in BI chapters? Let me show you how we can convert pivot. Let me took a data frame. It's not required anymore. Okay, we are also calling this first data frame. Let me print the data frame. Okay, it's the old data frame that we used earlier. Okay, so in pivot, what we mentioned, we can transpose from row to columns. Okay, suppose over here we can see name versus subject, name, subject, and marks. Let's pick up three columns: name, subject, and marks. Okay, so this is the data set. I don't want the data to be visualized in this manner. Rather, I want to pivot it. How to pivot it? Let me show you. Okay, I want subject to be remain as the column value. That is fine. Okay, let's try to pivot. How to pivot? I I am creating a new data frame called DFP is a pivot table equal to PD dot pivot dot let me put DF dot pivot. I'm just doing the operation on top of this data frame. DF dot pivot. Let's pass. Okay. Index. Index equal. Index means it's a row. Index can be the name. Column can be the subject and values can be the marks. Let me show you the example, then you have the idea how it should be looking like. Okay, let's pull subject in columns. Yeah, actually, I've done a mistake here. Call this thing as name. Let me do a print in between. This thing. Okay, so it's now much more attractive. So as I mentioned, subject is our column. Name should be in our index. Okay, I mean the index value should be subject. That's why. So if we just go ahead with the distinct subject, there are history and maths. So only two rows should be there for subject. Okay. And for name, it's transposing the name from this axis to this axis. It should be looking like in this manner. Earlier, whatever distinct name value is there, each of the individual distinct name should be transposed to individual columns. Okay. Okay. Now the measures value is the marks. Marks will be coming in this way. So we need to match. So Alex is receiving 800 in history. Alex is receiving 600 to maths. So the particular student who doesn't have the particular marks and that particular subject area that is presented as null. Okay. So that's the concept of doing pivot. It's also a kind of visualization of data. The same data you can see it's the same data. Whatever data I have represented over here is the same data over here, but the representation it's a different one. Okay. Now let's go ahead with matplotlib. Is there any doubt from pivot? Actually, it's also very simple one. But each of the steps you may have required while doing your live projects and all. Okay. For matplotlib, we have those examples. I just copied it already. Let me just comment it out. Matplotlib it's an external module, similar kind of stuffs, whatever we have done in Python, in pandas, we need to install the same thing in Matplotlib from here. If you are doing it's for the first time. Okay, Tanuj, you told that you already used Matplotlib earlier. I have also showed to you there is lots of not only Matplotlib, there is other modules as well which can help us with different kind of plots, just like histograms, bar plot, okay, scatter plot. So here we are just trying to create a bar chart let me omit this portion. Yeah, that thing will be learning after that. I just comment this thing out. So here we are creating this, I mean importing this matplotlib, and I'm just aliasing this thing, the class as PLT. Okay, now I'm declaring two lists. X is having this data, Y is having this data. Y is a dependent variable on X. Okay, now I'm just creating a bar plot. Okay, so PLT, this is the class that I'm just taking from matplotlib. I mean, pyplot is the class name, I'm aliasing it, PLT. So PLT dot bar is the method name. I'm calling XY. Now I'm showing it. Let me run this. It's simple actually. Okay, I'm not running the exact one. Let me check. It's test.py. Okay, so this is the graph. Should look like. I can use other things, scatter as well. Let me check. Scatter, yeah. Scatter should be scatter plot. So different kind of plot I can. It's in running mode. Yeah, no, it's fine. Okay, this is scatter plot. The line chart, different kind of things are available in underscore. I mean that inside PLT. So you can call them. Okay. Scatter. Simple plot. I think plot is also available. Plot, I think it should be line chart. Yes, it's a line chart. So different plot is there. You can check it. Okay. Uh, the same kind of stuff, so we can go ahead with the complex manner. So I can create, we already have the data frames handy with us. Let me just omit this thing. So I create the same exam result CSV. I have just done a group by on top of name and subjects and doing the mean and resetting the index. I mean, no index should be there. If we do the group by operation, then you can see based on which columns we are doing the group by operation, that should be coming as the index. That's why I'm doing the resetting index. So actually it's nothing but name, subject and marks. That should be the output. If you just check the DF1, let me show you DF1. Okay, I'm just commenting this thing out as of now. Yes, the start statement should be there. Import pandas. Yeah. Okay, fine. Let me run it. I have print anything, any other thing? No. So this is just doing the means of age and marks. That's it. Based on name and subject. I am doing the resetting. This is nothing but the same data frame actually. Okay. Now, if I'm doing the plotting part over here, so it's just like a example. So I'm creating a figure, doing subplots based on name versus marks. Okay. Plot dot show. Okay, it's fine. Till okay. So this is the simple example. Okay, I mean, over there, in the first example, I'm just doing X versus Y, independent versus dependent one. The similar kind of steps I have done over here. Name versus marks. It's inside a data frame. That's why I have to mention in this way. DF1 name, comma DF1 marks. That's it. Nothing is different. So this way we can represent the data as well. Okay. So I'm just quickly touching this matplotlib over here. It's very simple. We can work in this manner. Any doubt from anyone?
No.
Okay, fine. Now I'll be giving you one exercise. Okay, the exercise is based on total ETL part. We'll be taking data from some places, we'll be converting it or transforming it, and we'll be pushing it to our target system. So I'm just pasting it into WhatsApp group. Okay, you can try to solve the similar manner. Send it by mail. If I'll be checking in mail if this is fine, or if small changes is required, then I'll directly tell you. Uh, Otherwise, we can solve it in tomorrow's session. Okay. Okay, let me show you that these examples too. So this is the actual requirement we're looking. In the same for loop, we are removing the particular. Okay, this is the same thing. If you can remember Tanuja, or yeah, I forgot your name, Prashanna. Prashanna, you are yet to send me the result. You didn't share. Okay, for this thing, you no need to share. For the next exercise onwards, you can share me the particular codes.
Yeah, okay, sir.
So let me run it. It test 2. Okay, so L2 is having the squared element having 149, and L1 is having without square element. It's 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. That was the required output. So what we are doing, just you are doing the same steps, Tanuj, actually, no issue. But we need to put a if else condition. Otherwise, it will be squaring all the elements value. And in L2, you are storing 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, but we do not require this. I just mentioned in this particular elements, which are the squared element, that is 149. We can do a square root on top of this. That's why we can move out those 3 elements into L2 list. I just mentioned this thing. So here I just mentioned this condition. If this square, this is the square, we are doing top of number, I'm doing the square operation. If the square is greater than 10, then it will be breaking the loop and it will be going outside of the loop. So it's fine. It's squaring it. So 149 till 9, it's fine. 3 square is 9. After that, when it's receiving 4, 4 square equal 10, 4 square equal to 16, it's greater than 10. So it's going outside of the loop. So from this loop, it's returning this value 149. I just put a print statement, and those 149 has been appended to L2 list. Okay. Now I'm just running another loop for L2. For I is a loop variable. In L2, I'll be removing all the elements from L1. Actually, this statement was running over here. I'm running based on L1 elements over here. I'm also removing L1 elements, which was causing the issue in earlier days, whatever I was showing. So that's why I just keep these 2 statements in a different for loop. This statement specifically, L1 remove I from, into a different for loop. That's it. It's running in the proper manner, and we are seeing the proper output. Okay. This is done. Exercise I'll be just okay. That exercise I'll be providing in WhatsApp. You'll try to send me in my mail ID first, solving in the same manner, the codes and all. Tanuji, you are doing wrong. While doing the SQL stuffs, the command line you are putting wrong slashes over there. So in Python, it's a different comment style. It's hash. As I mentioned, if we put hash at the beginning, it will be commenting out that statement. Okay. It can also comment out with multiple this kind of stuffs I mentioned. Slash star. Then should be star slash. But in Python, it's not occurring. Python only hash should be working. Okay.
I'll
In
check it out.
it's applicable. But while doing your coding standards, you are just this slash you are putting front slash. I mean backslash, but it's not backslash. It's a similar kind of slash. Slash star slash. It should be front slash. Okay, that thing I mentioned in the comment. So just change it while doing the SQL. Over here, it's not required. Okay. Keep proper indentation. That should be an important thing. If indentation is required, keep proper indentation in your notepad. Okay. Otherwise, you can do this thing in PyCharm and just copy it, put some comment over there at the top or whatever you are doing, and send me the coding output.
Sure.
Okay, it's for both of you, and not sure why the other persons are not joining from this week. So if anybody has any contact, then you can also tell them to send me the thing. Because Python data frame, it's an important thing for data engineering perspective. The next week, it should be Git. Spark, I'll try to cover some technical knowledge. Next week is the last week, actually. We'll be covering 2-3 more topics, especially, I mean, based on cloud. Cloud, there should be some, I mean, concept how cloud, I mean, if you're working in a company, how you should be handling cloud components and all. I have suitable screenshots, and I can show you these things in 2 days. And there'll be one classes on top of Git. Git is a code-based repository. You are doing lots of codes, but how to save it, where to save it. So this is how Git concept should be there, and we'll be covering some concepts on top of Spark. Spark is a big data tool. Okay, so entire week, I mean, it should be the topic should be covered not only large scale. I mean, it should be small scale actually. But for Spark, I'll be trying to share with some technical guidance as well. I have the tool installed in my system. I mean, Spark I have installed, so that I can show you the coding stuffs. Okay. Okay, that's all for today's session. Let's connect tomorrow for the rest of the stuffs. Thank you. Bye bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you.